Hi there, it's Kate. Welcome back to my channel and yet another place in my house. I think every time I filmed since we moved, I've been in a different location in my house because it changes every day as we're still unpacking and rearranging and trying to figure out how to make this new space work for us. So welcome. Don't mind the mess on this side of me and or the dog. If you can see her, she's sleeping. It's supposed to be nap time in this house, but I don't think any of my children are napping. So it's been a while since I've talked about my books with you all, and that's just the way that it is. I have not been reading a ton. I've been doing a lot of really like navel gazing examination of what my role should look like here in this new environment. What are my goals for the next few, I don't know, however long, I don't know. So I've been just doing a lot of thinking, and as a result, my reading has been extraordinarily light reading. I haven't wanted my reading to really interrogate my beliefs, as I'm doing enough of that on my own. But I do have some reading that I can talk about. Much of it I've kind of put back to the library, and or it's been just like, you know, cozy mystery series where I'm binging 10 or 12 books at the same time. Anyways, let's get going. So I read one thing that I've been doing, actually before I get started, I was feeling kind of slumpy because I was doing all of this introspection, and I just requested from the library a lot of really hyped books for the summer, like the summer it books. So I figured that they're at least readable, and if I don't like them, fine, but maybe they will be, you know, like maybe they'll just kind of be something that would be entertaining. So I read, in that note, The River by Peter Heller, and I actually really enjoyed that one. It was a thriller, which is not normally in my wheelhouse, but it is kind of an adventure, a nature adventure thriller, and it felt really authentic to me. So I'm someone who grew up in a family where my parents met when they were like wilderness guides in Alaska. So like the lingo for most outdoorsy experiences in most books is hollow and false to me, if that makes sense. A lot of times when I'm reading about books that are supposed to be adventure-y, if they're not, they feel false. This did not. This felt very real. The language was accurate to me, and it was kind of not only was it an adventure story about canoeing, I think it was canoeing down a river, trying to get out of away from a forest fire, wildfire, while interrogating kind of human nature and the human condition, and what would drive someone to basically murder another person. You know, like it was really interesting. I recommend it. I read the second book in the Perveen mystery series, which was The Sadapur Moonstone, and I really like those books as well. It is about, the main character is one of the first female attorneys in Bombay after in the early 1900s, and so we get a really interesting experience. She goes into situations in which women are in purdah, where they are they're not allowed to interact with men because of their religion, and she's able to take care of some legal things for them, which is very interesting. So my other hyped book that I read was this one. I just finished this, Waiting for Tom Hanks by Kerry Winfrey. This is a straight up contemporary romance, which are very hit or miss for me. So this was engaging. I read it. I was smiling most of the time when I was reading it. I don't know that I would recommend it though. The main character in this book, so the premise is the main character is way into rom-coms. She's writing her own screenplay. But she's living at home with her uncle, as she has been for the last her whole life, and she gets an opportunity to work on a movie set of a rom-com, and things happen from there. the main character in here, my problem is she was 27 years old and she acted like a 21-year-old. And that's hard for me. Immature protagonists are difficult for me. And I didn't feel like she grew a lot. I feel like her situations changed and she adapted, but I don't know that she actually learned something. There was some really big conflict that happened at the end of the book, and I feel like she didn't work through it. There is a sequel coming, so I don't know if the sequel will deal with it at all, but there was like this huge bombshell, and then she was just like, okay, well that happened, so I better get on with my life. And you're like, wait, really? That's it? That's all you're gonna do? It just, that the actions of the main character did not feel real to me. But it was also a rom-com, like it's based on a rom-com. It's supposed to be a romantic comedy in book form, and it was that. So if you're into those types of movies, Sleepless in Seattle, You've Got Mail, like all the Nora Ephrons, then you should check this book out. Otherwise, maybe don't. Yeah, but there's another, I thought there's, oh, yeah. So this is my favorite book so far of the year. This is The Sun is a Compass by Carolyn Van Hemert. I'm gonna do a standalone review of this one, so keep your eye out. I've actually already filmed it, so keep your eye out for that. This is an adventure story and a memoir, and it's beautiful and it's thoughtful. It made me think, unlike a lot of books that I've read recently. So, sorry, my baby monitor is down there and I'm keeping an eye on the babies who aren't sleeping. So, yeah, I don't want to talk too much about this because I'm going to talk about it again, but good memoir if you're into memoirs, if you're into birds, if you're into adventure stories. It's a good one. What have you been reading this summer? Are you reading any of these big hyped books this summer, or are you sticking to kind of tried and true favorites? Let me know, because I'm kind of walking a middle ground and it feels kind of strange. So let me know also if you've read any of these books, and I will talk to you soon. Bye guys.